Part 18. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 171. Chapter 171 Chapter 172, 171, was tied up. It is outrageous that there are so many big men in the entire department, and they still rely on a little girl to handle the work. Shen Yun here ignored the conversation between Chu Yushan and Yan Han. After comforting the frightened three Shen brothers, he walked alone towards the hotel address they mentioned. When he arrived, he saw a person there. Shen Yun directly subdued the person. "Where is Fu Wen?" "He went out to do errands. He said he wanted to find the people who came out of the spirit mine to ask about the situation. He should be heading to the village in the city today." This man was really frightened. It was the first time he met such a fierce woman. He was really scared. Afraid of being beaten to death, he finally embarked on the road of cultivation and immortality. He didn't want to give up just like that, so he told everything he knew, including how many people had been killed in the past few days, to investigate things. When Shen Yun heard what he said, his fists couldn't help but harden. Sure enough, this man has always been like this. He doesn't take human life seriously. When he was in Hong Kong City, he still had no status, but when he arrived on the mainland, he started to be rampant. He really thought that no one you can control them, right? Shen Yun looked at the person in front of him and brushed his dantian with his hand. The person in the Qi training stage in front of him immediately had a blank face and passed out. This is the first time that Shen Yun has crippled a person. In the past, she always felt that it was not easy for a person to practice cultivation. But thinking about these people's attitudes towards ordinary people and her own results in her previous life, it turns out that being kind to such people means being kind to more people. Cruel. He turned around and walked towards the village in the city. He had just separated from the three Shen brothers on the roadside. He didn't know if these three brothers had returned to the village in the city. It would probably be bad if Fu Wen met him. I returned to the village in the city as quickly as possible. As soon as I got close to my spiritual consciousness, I saw a scene that made me hate it. The three Shen brothers have now fallen into Fu Wen's hands. In a strange room, Fu Wen sat there dignifiedly, as clean as a noble prince. There were several unconscious people lying next to them. One of them was Shen Jian. Shen Hong and Shen Hong are being pressed down and beaten. "If you tell me who dug up our spirit stones, then I can let you go, otherwise don't blame me for being cruel." Fu Wen puffed out a smoke ring and said this with a smile, making Boss Fu look like the appearance is 100% imitated. Shen Yun clenched his fists and went over with his sword. Facing the closed door, he kicked it open. No nonsense with them, just attack directly with the immobilization talisman, and then the Qingfeng sword. After destroying the 7 cultivators, Shen Yun pointed his sword at the shivering Fu Wen who was hiding in the corner and said, "Isn't this the trick you just used? Intimidation and inducement, treating human life as nothing. How about it? Now you know how to be afraid." "You, miss, I didn't offend you. I gave you enough kindness when I was in Hong Kong City. This job is what my elder brother asked me to do. If I don't do it well, he will kill me. I don't want to kill anyone, but there is no other way. I am just a little flag in the Fu family, and words are of no use at all. Boss Fu ordered me to do these things remotely. Don't kill me." Fu Wen saw what the person in front of him looked like and said while suppressing his fear. He really never thought that he would be so fierce with the local girl he had spoken to in the Fu family. If he had known about it, he would have become friends with her even if he was begging to show weakness. "You said it so grandly. You didn't look like this when you were being beaten. Why are you trying to shift the blame now? I don't care who ordered you to do this, anyway, I think it was you." Chen Yun doesn't want to talk to him so much. "Yun, they killed these people, and Shen Jian, come and see, he is dying. The two Shen brothers just rushed towards Shen Jian after being rescued by Shen Yun. Looking at Shen Jian's motionless appearance, his body was covered with injuries. It was obvious that when they just came back, they had discussed that it was time to practice well when they went back together. How could they have changed like this in such a short time? The tears of the two people were like turning on a faucet, and the tears flowed down uncontrollably. When Shen Yun heard what they were saying, he directly knocked Fu Wen down with his sword scabbard. Walking towards that side quickly, Shen Jian's body was filled with deathly aura. Shen Yun moved towards his carotid artery without giving up, while putting some spiritual spring water in its mouth, and then began to control the spiritual energy to circulate in Shen Jian's body. Still no response. What should I do? How should I explain to my second uncle when I go back? Shen Yun, please save him, brother, please. Shen Hong kneeled on the ground and said in pain. Shen Yun's face was stern, and he ignored the two people on his side. He continued to patiently send spiritual energy to the person, and then felt his pulse with his hand. For half an hour, Shen Yun thought that his method was unreliable. After all, this was his own method, but he didn't expect that he could feel a faint beating under his hand. Although it is very weak, it starts to jump. The person is alive, but whether he can wake up depends on the subsequent treatment. You should quickly stop the bleeding and bandage the wounds on your body, Shen Yun told the two people next to him, and then he quickly stuffed Shen Jian with another Pen pill. When the two people over there heard Shen Yu say this, they felt as if they had been hit by a lottery ticket. They wiped their tears and started to work. Thinking of the treatment method Shen Yun gave them last time, the two of them did not search for it. He immediately started using spiritual energy to heal Shen Jian's injuries. Shen Yun is not a professional doctor. Seeing that the spiritual energy in Shen Jian's body was almost full, he was afraid that his good intentions would lead to bad things, so he stopped the input of spiritual energy. You guys take a good look at Shen Jian, and I'll take a look at the others. Shen Yun checked one by one, but found that the other people lying underground had already died of excessive blood loss, and they couldn't save them even if they wanted to. Walking to Fu Wen, looking at the unconscious Fu Wen lying there, she kicked him over. You deserve to die, but you have harmed so many people. Shen Yun was not in a hurry to deal with these people, and directly tied several people with nets. Then a bucket of water was poured over, and the person lying underground woke up immediately. Miss, please forgive me. We didn't want to do this ourselves. We were all ordered by the bosses behind the scenes who don't care about human lives. We use money to do things. Miss, please be considerate. One of the men saw that little girl Shen Yun was easy to fool. Look, he quickly started talking. Shen Yun looked at the man and without saying a word, he beat him unconscious. I don't care who asked you to do this. This is a matter that the law has to deal with. Now I just want to seek justice for my brother and brother, Shen Yun said, and he started very quickly. After a while, these practitioners, the people, were destroyed. Fu Wen, who had not yet fainted, was left watching everything in front of him. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 172. Don't kill me, I don't have any ability. You let me go, and I will be your ox and horse from now on. Fu Wen saw that Shen Yun was so ruthless. For the first time, he felt that death was threatening him. He looked at the few people next to him. As a pale-faced person who didn't know whether to live or die, he once again realized how powerful Shen Yun was. Being a cow or a horse? I don't dare to let someone like you act like a cow or a horse with someone who thinks one thing in front of you or another behind the scenes. You should continue to be a cow or a horse for your brother. Shen Yun looked at the enemy in his previous life in front of him. In his previous life, he felt that he could not resist. At this moment, it was spread out on the ground like mud, with suspicious liquid still flowing under it. It has always been like a hurdle in Shen Yun's heart. He didn't expect it to fall into his hands so easily. Please let me go. I have nothing to do with these things. I didn't harm the person. As long as you let me go, you know the Fu family is very rich. When the time comes, I will give you enough of the Fu family's wealth. Fu Wen might have been so anxious that he even came up with such an unreliable idea. You really think I'm a fool? Do you have any status in the Fu family? The Fu family's property is not yours. After all, a security guard is your boss. You really take yourself seriously? Shen Yun's words stabbed directly into Fu Wen's heart. I heard that the faces of the people underground began to look ferocious. After all, they were still young and did not look as sophisticated as they would in a few years. Shut up, you don't know anything. Just like the rest of the Fu family, they are all snobbish. Do you have a choice about my birth? Everyone looks down on me. If old man Fu hadn't been greedy for beauty, there would be no one when I appeared. Did you think I was a child of the Fu family? Children from ordinary families are not as comfortable as me. My mother and I live quietly and well together. We are all from the Fu family. Fu Wen seemed to be going crazy. Just like that, he told everything about himself without hesitation. As if he was seeking sympathy, he was crying while talking. Not to mention, Fu Wen himself was not ugly, and the way he cried like crazy with some tears was still pretty good looking. Stop pretending, I won't follow your example, and I'm not being stupid. You said you resented the Fu family, but you still enjoyed the resources brought by the Fu family's evil deeds with peace of mind. You said you were so aloof. You were just an ordinary person. If you can stop people from killing people, I will believe your lies. Shen Yun looked at Fu Wen, his expression unchanged. Then I saw that Fu Wen really couldn't pretend anymore. Don't worry, I won't kill you. We are still a society ruled by law. Killing you will dirty my hands. Shen Yun did not intend to kill anyone, but he still wanted to move his hands and feet a little, so that even if he had the chance to return to Hong Kong City, he would not be able to kill you. It is better to die and live. Thinking about the suffering he suffered in his previous life, it would be easier for him to just die, while living is often more painful. Chen Yun directly abolished his opportunity to practice, and then injected some spikes of spiritual energy into his body. From now on, as long as he lives, he will suffer bone-piercing pain every second. Imagine that such a person would not want to die at all, so he would live for a long time and enjoy the pain of the knife tip scratching his skin in his previous life. What on earth did you do to me? Fu Wen rolled on the ground in pain. He didn't know how he offended the other party. Could it be that he had offended her just because he was chatting with her at Mr. Fu's house? So this would give others a pleasure, but it would slowly torture himself. You don't need to know this. You just need to know that every moment you live in the future will be more painful, unless you can be cruel and free yourself. Shen Yun looked at Fu Wen's appearance, turned around and glanced at the man again. The man who was lying motionless on the ground immediately increased his spiritual energy. His pain was not worth mentioning to others. Listen to the wailing sound coming from my ears. The knot in Shen Yun's heart slowly untied. He walked directly towards Shen Jian. Fourth brother, go and ask someone to handle this matter. Third brother and I are watching Shen Jian here. Shen Yun knelt down and said. Okay, should we still find Boss Tian and the others? Shen Hong asked. Yes, Shen Yun nodded. Shen Hong didn't waste any time and walked outside quickly. Although he was worried about Shen Jian's condition, it was obvious that Shen Yun would be much more useful than staying here. As long as he didn't encounter a situation like today, he could still run errands. Can do it well. How is Shen Jian's condition? Can he wake up? Shen Hong asked quickly as he saw Shen Yun coming over. He and Shen Hong have taken care of the wounds, and there is no sign of waking up yet. There is really nothing they can do. Don't worry, Shen Jian's current vitality can still be maintained. Let's send him to the hospital first. If he can be revived, that would be the best. If there is no other way, then I have to do it myself, Shen Yun thought. Thinking about the various elixirs in the space, it's not that there aren't any that can bring the dead back to life, but it's just that Chen Yun's current cultivation level is not something he can refine. However, there is another vitality pill that can be refined at the golden pill stage. Only 3 pills can maintain Shen Jian's current state. As long as he protects this physical body well, when he reaches the nascent soul stage and the stock of spiritual energy is reached, then he can trying to refine the 9 turns resurrection pill. Okay, if there is anything I can do to help, just say that Shen Hong and I were useless and failed to protect him, so he was so seriously injured. Shen Hong hoped that he could please help me, otherwise he will feel too uncomfortable. Shen Jian is his biological brother. There is only 2 years difference between the two of them. It can be said that they have played together since they were young. They have been together longer than their parents. Shen Jian, we were fine at home, but it was because of his phone call that we came here with Shen Yun. Thinking of this, he didn't know how to go home and face his parents. You should practice well with Shen Jian like this. You should use spiritual energy to sort out his veins every day, so that when he wakes up, he can return to his previous state faster. And you need to control it carefully every time you comb it. His body is very fragile now, and a large amount of spiritual energy will damage his body. You need to feel and control this when combing it. Chen Yun looked at him and didn't mind finding something for him to do. Okay, I will practice well and control it well. Shen Hong carefully remembered Shen Yun's words in his heart. Shen Yun carefully checked Shen Jian's condition and found that there were still some internal injuries in his body that they had not dealt with. They carefully used spiritual energy to slowly heal Yun. The brain is a very delicate thing, and Shen Yun did not dare to use spiritual energy and spiritual consciousness to explore it rashly. Although she can make alchemy, she is not a medical practitioner. Shen Yun planned to send the person to a professional doctor for examination. Shen Hong's speed is also very fast. As soon as it got dark, he came with his people. As soon as Chu Yushan came in, he saw people lying in a room. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 173. Why did it end up like this? Chu Yushan quickly arranged for people to come in and deal with it, and found that several people were dead and several others had fainted. The young man in front of Shen Yun must be Shen Yun's younger brother. Why is he also lying down at this moment? He couldn't move anymore. How much effort had he made? Why did so many things happen? Chu Yushan even had a headache. Comrade Shen Yun, I found that you are really unlucky, and something happened to you just now. Why are we so busy when you show up? The strong man next to him couldn't help but joked when he saw this scene. Xiao Lu, why are you talking? What do you mean? The words of Chu Yushan and Shen Hong sounded at the same time. We are also victims. My brother was injured, and this was not caused by Shen Yun. These dead people were all former workers in the spirit mine, and these should be the owners of the spirit mine, and they were the ones who killed the people. Shen Hong, who rarely talks, rarely said a lot. He was very angry when he heard such words. Such words seemed to make Shen Yun a troublemaker. The strong man was told this by 2 people, and he realized that there was something wrong with the way he spoke. Sorry, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to thank Shen Yun. If it weren't for her, we wouldn't be able to do so many things, the strong man explained quickly. Shen Yun glanced at him and said, let's not talk about this matter first. Let's talk about the situation here first. The people lying here were killed by these people. This was the case when we came today. Most of them died from blood loss. These people just passed out and I took care of them. Chen Yun pointed at these people and said to beat them. As for Fu Wen, who was still awake, he had already fainted from the pain. Okay, okay, we will take care of it, Chu Yushin said quickly. With so many lives lost, they must investigate carefully. In particular, Shen Yun also said that these people are from the port city, so it would be more troublesome to deal with them. The group of people first carried out the people lying on the ground, followed by Fu Wen and the others. Of course, the two types of people were treated differently. Fu Wen and the others were taken away in bundles. Comrade Shen Yun, let's take you back. Chu Yushin next to him was afraid that something might happen to Shen Yun and the others on the road, so he might as well send them off himself. Shen Yun readily agreed, then please take us to the hospital at present. Shen Jian's condition needed to be checked, and Shen Yun decisively chose his destination. As a person who has worked in the south for a long time, Chu Yushin knows the hospital very well. He left a few people to deal with the matters behind him, and Chu Yushin led the people directly towards the hospital. When he arrived at the place, he directly gave Shen Jian a comprehensive inspection. Doctor, how is my brother's condition? The three Shen Yun brothers stood in front of the hospital bed and looked at the doctor expectantly. We have checked this and consulted with others. We have not found any injuries. The injuries are all recovering well. As for why they don't wake up, it may be that their brains were injured at the time. I suggest you observe it. If he can't wake up later, he will probably remain like this and become a vegetative state. The doctor's final conclusion was not optimistic. The two brothers next to me were in tears. Doctor, let's take a look first, Chen Yun said to the doctor. When the doctors had gone out, only the four brothers, Shen and his sister, were in this room. Don't worry, take good care of Shen Jian first, and I'll find a way later. Shen Yun planned to study the elixir formula now, so that the elixir refining can be smoother later. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 174. Pengcheng is a city with very good medical development, and Chu Yushin led them to find a doctor. They all said so, and there was really no other way. Now we can only place our hopes on Shen Yun. This pressure cannot be placed on you alone. We have all begun to practice. There will definitely be a way to treat Shen Jian in the future. Shen Hong, who was next to him, heard what Shen Yun said and said quickly. Okay, if that's the case, let's observe him here for a few days and then take him back for training. It's not as convenient as at home. Shen Hong also recognized the facts at this moment. After these 2 days of inspection, and after seeing many doctors, he gave up on the idea of doctors rescuing Shen Jian. Now they can only go back and rely on themselves. Okay, I'll arrange this. Shen Yun asked the two people to watch here, and then ran to Chu Yushin and others to find help. By the way, you came just in time. The group of people we captured 2 days ago were all recruited. They were indeed the ones who killed the people in the yard, and it wasn't just these. There were others in other places, but they were cruel and used fire as the last resort. Everything was taken care of, so no one found out. It was also because we were negligent in the past 2 days and didn't notice the situation. If you hadn't discovered these people, I don't know how many people would have died later. Chu Yushin saw Shen Yun and said to her. Let's take a look at yesterday's survey results. Shen Yun's heart sank when she heard this. She was a step too late. She didn't expect Fu Wen to be so ruthless now and so rampant in the mainland. Let's see if these family members can provide some subsidies. Let's deduct it from my allowance. Shen Yun now has a lot of spiritual stones, but he really doesn't have much money, so he can only withdraw his salary first. You don't need to pay for this. We have already negotiated with the Fu family over in the port city. Their people have done these things here. If people die and cannot be resurrected, the compensation will definitely be in place. Can they recognize it? Shen Yun was a little confused. If he sent someone to do bad things and was caught, Who would recognize it? Don't worry about this. If others don't recognize it, even the old man of the Fu family will recognize it. You didn't know that among the people arrested this time is his youngest son. Don't worry about the follow-up matters. We have people here who are specialized in handling this. Not only will I make them pay for this, but these people will also not be able to go back home. They must kill people to pay for their lives. In our territory, we must follow our laws. Chu Yushin's eyes were serious and firm. Shen Yun heard what he said so firmly and believed what he said. Then I'll leave this matter to you. We plan to go back to our hometown and want to borrow a car from you to take us there. It's not convenient for Shen Jian to take the train in his current situation. Shen Yun stated the purpose of his visit today. Are you already planning to take the person back? Is there really no other way? Although the doctors here are good, there are also good doctors in Beijing. Tell Yan Han that he has connections in this area and ask him to help. Please introduce some doctors to see. The young man is still young, we can't just give up, Chu Yushin said unbearably when he thought of Shen Jian's age. We're not giving up. We're going to go back and treat slowly. Don't worry, I will definitely talk to Captain Yan if necessary. Shen Yun looked at Chu Yushin's concerned look and quickly explained that they are all brothers of his own family. I will definitely not give up easily. Do you have a doctor at home? Chu Yushin was curious. No, I have an aunt at home who is a nurse, Shen Yun said. Isn't this nonsense? I thought you had a famous doctor at home. A nurse? Even the famous doctors here can't cure it? Can a nurse do it? Is there no money? In this case, I will collect some for you first. Let's don't go back to your hometown, go directly to the capital city. Chu Yushin has been annoyed by the three young men for a few days, and now he has a good impression of them. In addition, Shen Yun is a promising junior, so he doesn't mind a little help. Shen Yun looked at Chu Yushin, who was standing up in a hurry, and quickly stopped him. It's not that I don't have money. Shen Yun didn't know how to explain it at this moment. Don't worry, let's take Shen Jian back for a look first. His physical condition is not suitable for traveling all the way to Beijing. To tell you the truth, I know how to make alchemy myself. As long as my strength improves, there is still hope for Shen Jian's situation. If he doesn't use elixirs, he will probably have no choice but to. It's a miracle after all. It was not a doctor who came to the conclusion. Medical science is not as advanced as it was in a few years. Shen Yun remembered reading the news at that time that vegetative state was still a difficult condition to treat. Hearing what Shen Yun said, Chu Yushin understood Shen Yun's worries, but regarding the matter of alchemy, is there anyone in your family who is engaged in Taoism? Little girls, don't dare to start it just by reading the records in the book. Many emperors in history where you will die if you take the pill. You must not fool around, Chu Yushin said angrily, as if he was afraid that Shen Yun would go astray. Shen Yun laughed. Don't worry, it's different from the previous elixir that added cinnabar and mercury. That's good, you're not unreliable anyway. If you need help later, don't be polite and leave me my phone number. By the way, this is the contact machine we have now assigned. We will assign one to you. You don't need to apply again when you return to Beijing. Chu Yushin said, giving Shen Yun a big brother. Shen Yun looked at the brick-sized big brother. No wonder his boss always brought a secretary with him when he got this thing. It was really hard to pretend. Thank you. By the way, I'll have someone keep an eye on me in Hong Kong City. If someone comes here, you can ask them to contact me directly. Shen Yun now has his own contact tool, so it will be easier to contact him in the future. It's a lot more convenient. Okay, then I will arrange a car for you now. When are you going to go back? I'll leave the day after tomorrow. Sorry to trouble you. Shen Yun decided to observe here for 2 days. Okay, Chu Yushin nodded in agreement. Shen Yun did not stay here longer and went directly back to the hospital with his newly acquired mobile phone. Shen Heng and the others were guarding the bedside. I've borrowed the car. I'll go back the day after tomorrow. Do you want to talk to your family first? Shen Yun said, looking at the two people. Let's talk about it and let them be mentally prepared, lest they can't stand seeing Shen Jian like this. All of a sudden the two thought for a while and finally made the decision. What's the phone number at home? Shen Yun took out the mobile phone directly and didn't hesitate to make a decision. The two of them stared at Shen Yun's hand and asked, Yun Yun, is this big brother a conjurer? Can you get through the phone? If it weren't for something wrong, Shen Yun would have laughed. He was just a cultivator, not an immortal. He was still changing things. These two people must have been stimulated. I just went out. Minister Chu gave it to me. I can make a phone call. Why don't you guys make this call? Shen Yun was not curious about this. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 175. The two of them studied for a while and finally made a call. However, there was no phone at home, so the call was made to the place where my aunt worked in the town. I talked to my aunt for a long time before I explained the situation clearly. The two of them saw that the elder brother was a little relaxed, but now he felt heavy again. My aunt said that she will go back and tell her family. The family will also prepare money. If you can watch it, try to watch it in a big city here. If it doesn't work, just take it home, otherwise the children outside will miss home. Obviously, when Shen Huiyan heard what the two brothers said on the phone, he guessed that Shen Jian's situation was serious, and he had already guessed the worst case scenario. It's all my fault, Shen Hong said and slapped himself in the face. Okay, now is not the time to blame yourself. From now on, Shen Jian will be our responsibility. If he can't practice now, he will definitely fall behind a lot in the future, Shen Yun said and took out his spiritual stone. Now that he's in a coma, he doesn't know if the spiritual stone is still useful. Putting Shen Jian's hand on the spiritual stone, there was no response at all. It seemed that the person was in a coma and could not measure the spiritual roots. However, there was another stupid way. Shen Yun directly held Shen Jian's hand and began to use spiritual energy to follow his tendons. After walking around for a while, Shen Yun's consciousness was already very high, but he still felt a little bloated. This was obviously due to excessive use of his consciousness. It is not as easy to move spiritual energy through other people's body tendons as it is through your own tendons. You have to use your spiritual consciousness to explore and move along. After walking around for a while, a trace of his own spiritual energy was left in Shen Jian's body, which showed that he had spiritual roots. It is also equivalent to Shen Jian not having to introduce qi into his body, Shen Yun directly filling his body with spiritual energy. He has also entered the path of spiritual practice. As for his talent and spiritual roots, these need to be tested after he wakes up. You will not only massage his body every day from now on, but also use spiritual energy to walk along his veins, so that when he wakes up in the future, he will not lag too far behind. Shen Yun continued to arrange new tasks for the two of them, lest the two of them blame themselves to death. As for the relatively low spiritual consciousness of the two people, it doesn't matter. Shen Yun has already walked around the tendons and practiced the Zifu Immortal Sutra. I hope that Shen Jian will also have 5 spiritual roots by then. Although the cultivation is slower, it is more suitable for this technique. The two people next to him suddenly became a little interested when they heard that they could still operate in this way. Can we try it now? Go, Shen Yun nodded. If you try it, you will know that your own spiritual energy is still far behind. Then there will be no time to mourn the spring and autumn period. Take the time to practice. 2 days passed very quickly. The two Shen brothers experienced their spiritual energy being drained several times, and finally realized that their spiritual energy was too poor, so they began to practice hard while giving Shen Jian a massage. The car arranged by Captain Tianque was also parked directly downstairs of the hospital. It was a minibus. An injured person like Shen Jian could be more comfortable in a car with a lot of space. Several people carried Shen Jian back to the car. On top of the car, Chu Yushin was well prepared and there was food and drink. The captain said he had something to deal with today, so he asked me to come and see you off. If anything happens later, just contact us directly. They are all acquaintances, so don't let anyone see you outside. The person who came to see you off today was not Chu Yushin, but also a member of the special department. Yes, Shen Yun had met him a few times. He was very kind. He came over to help the busy people and prepare things. Although they were not familiar with each other, Shen Yun also accepted the feeling of hiding. Okay, thank you. Say thank you to Minister Chu and me, so I won't go and say goodbye, Shen Yun said politely. A few people got in the car and left. There was a driver in the car whom they didn't recognize, but he looked very reliable. It took us 2 days and 1 night to get there, with stops and starts. As soon as I entered the agreed place, I saw my family waiting there. Just park in front, my family is everywhere, Shen Yun said to the driver. I contacted my family on the way. Shen Yun didn't arrive and all his family came to the town to pick him up. Even the grandparents came over. From a distance, they could see serious expressions. The second aunt even had red eyes. Knowing that Shen Jian was like this, she must have felt uncomfortable. As soon as the car stopped, the family gathered around. Looking at the situation inside through the car window, seeing the unconscious Shen Jian lying there, the eyes of the person below immediately became wet. When the car door opened, the second uncle and the second aunt squeezed in first. Looking at Shen Jian lying there, they immediately surrounded him. Chen Yun turned around and saw a group of people crowded at the door, looking inside. There is a mountain road ahead. Let's take it here. You have worked hard these 2 days. Let's rest in the town for a day and then go back, Shen Yun said to the driver. You guys settle them down first, I will settle them myself here, don't worry about me. The driver saw that Shen Yun had something to do at home, and didn't want to delay other people's affairs at this time. I will take care of this matter. Shen Yun, you take Shen Jian home first, Huang Bin, who had followed him at this time, said. Hearing what Huang Bin said, Shen Yun nodded. Okay, please help me entertain him. We haven't eaten yet, so we can arrange a meal. After arranging this matter, Shen Yun and the others did not stay in the car for long, and directly carried the person off. Everyone felt bad when they saw Shen Jian being so ignorant. Okay, take the child home quickly. Don't be like this here, crying and crying, which will bring bad luck to the child. Shen Kuliang looked at Shen Jian's appearance, rubbed his face randomly, and looked at the group of people at home. He looked like a scolded and greeted Shen Hong, who was carrying Shen Jian on his back, to walk towards the mountain road. The family quickly followed. Shen Yun's family and Shen Hong walked behind, unable to squeeze through the elders in front. What happened, and how did it end up like this? Until now, the family members don't know the whole story. They only know that the 2 children went to save people, and they don't know how it ended up like this. Shen Hong told the whole story on one side. When the people in front heard what was being said behind them, they all raised their ears to listen. Hearing that Shen Hong and the others met the original owner of the mine when they went home, and that's why it became like this, everyone stopped talking. Who should be blamed for this? It can only be blamed on those mine owners. A good child was and his 4 children were tortured. How could such a person still live in the world? Each one of them couldn't say it was their children's fault and couldn't help but curse the owner of the mine. Children who go home should practice martial arts well. I don't ask to hurt others. I just ask that you don't get bullied when you go out in the future. We are getting older day by day, and we will never hear about this again. Shen Kuliang heard what happened to several people. Looking at the big family at home, he gave a good warning. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 176. Everyone nodded silently. After this incident, no one dared to relax about this matter. The family took Shen Jian home, and everyone close to him in the village came to see him. After all, in rural areas, if a child is like this, the ending is doomed. Some are regretful, some are pitiful. Anyway, it makes the mood of the family even worse. By the time it gets late at night, everyone will be gone. Shen Heng, tell us what the doctor said about your brother's condition. After everyone left, the second aunt couldn't help but start asking Shen Heng. Although the words were about Shen Heng, her eyes were fixed on Shen Heng and Shen Yun. Similarly, no mother would be calm when seeing her child become like this. The second aunt has endured it until now and no longer wants to show anything in front of outsiders. The doctor said that the brain is injured and cannot be detected through examination. If you take good care of yourself, you may wake up, or you may stay like this for the rest of your life. Shen Heng felt that his mouth was very dry, and it was difficult to spit out every word. The whole family was silent after hearing this. Half chance, it's easy to say, but it sounds like it's overwhelming for everyone. Take good care of yourself. My grandson will not be like this all his life. This child Shen Jian has been strong since he was a child. He will definitely wake up. Shen Quiliang didn't know whether to comfort himself or everyone. His voice was loud and firm. In the dimness in the room, everyone was given a shot of cardiotonic. Don't worry, we will try our best to wake up Shen Jian. Shen Yun continued. Yes, Mom, Shen Jian will definitely not be like this, you have to believe him, Shen Heng also said. Okay, you all go back and have a rest. The second aunt waved her hands as if she had no strength to speak, turned around and looked at Shen Jian lying on the bed, ignoring everyone. Except for the little one who couldn't hold on and fell asleep, everyone else in the family was here. Seeing the second aunt like this, everyone stood for a while and then slowly walked out. After all, people don't know when they will wake up. There are still things to do later. Go back and have a rest. Xiaofeng and I are inside. Mom and Dad, you should go and have a rest too. It's okay. This is good news if there is no bad news. The child will lie down for a while. Don't look like this, second uncle. Then he walked out and said. Okay, you go in and watch, and we all go back. Yang Xiaoko patted the second son's shoulder distressedly. The wife was so sad that she could cry twice, because the son still had to support the family. Seeing the people go in, Shen Quiliang sent everyone else back to sleep, except Shen Yun. Yun, Grandpa knows that this matter is embarrassing you, but he still wants to ask you if there is anything you can do, Shen Quiliang said with difficulty. The old couple looked at Shen Yun eagerly, as if they were trying to grasp a life-saving straw. Grandpa, there is a method, but I can't give you an accurate answer as to when. There is a pill, but I need to reach a certain level of cultivation before I can refine it. Shen Yun did not hide it, but directly explained the situation clearly to the two elders. I didn't say it outside just now. There is an uncertainty factor. I don't know when my cultivation will be improved. As long as there is a way, at least there is hope, otherwise what will the second child do? Yang Xiaoko was relieved after hearing Chen Yun's words. The most fearful thing for people is that there is no hope. Now that we have this word, even if there is no specific time, at least there won't be any hope. Good boy, I thank you on behalf of your second uncle and aunt Er. After both emotions calmed down, Shen Yun mentioned the matter of cultivation. You mean the spiritual energy has been revived now? When Shen Quiliang heard Shen Yun mention this, he remembered what Shen Yun said last year. He had been wondering when this time would come, but he didn't expect it to be now. Yes, I wanted to tell you when I came back last time, but I didn't know that Shen Hong's matter happened to be delayed. I originally expected that it would take several years for the spiritual energy to recover, but I didn't know that it was earlier than expected. Now in my previous life, it was 5 years. Finally, Shen Yun didn't know if it was the butterfly effect. The time when the aura eyes appeared was different from that in his previous life. Originally, I wanted to let my children practice martial arts for a longer period of time. Now that they can practice, the spiritual roots we measured back then can also come in handy. Should we continue to practice physical training, or what should we do? We already have the basics of physical training, so let's continue practicing. There is still a lot to finish. As for practicing spells, I'm ready. The third brother and the fourth brother have already started practicing. Let the others start practicing tomorrow. Bar. Let's get familiar with the exercises first. There is aura everywhere in the air now. Once you know the exercises, you can practice at any time. Chen Yun suggested. Okay, I'll listen to you. Shen Kuliang had no other opinions. After Shen Yun and the two elders talked about this matter, they didn't wait much longer and went directly back to the top. No matter what the reason was this night, no one fell asleep peacefully except for a few little ones who were sleeping soundly and sweetly, who didn't know what was going on. When Chen Yun returned home, he directly entered the space and began to practice. Although he had seized the opportunity in the Aura Eye last time to go from the early stage of foundation building to the foundation building perfection, which could be described as a 4-jump, these were small improvements in realms. There is a big realm between foundation building and golden elixir. Some people can't break through foundation building for hundreds of years, and some people are very fast. Although Shen Yun's heart has eased a little, he still doesn't feel like he will be promoted. He can only suppress his inner urgency and wait for the day when things will come true. After practicing for a while, Shen Yun went directly to the elixir shop. There are elixirs left by our ancestors and some common elixirs here. Chen Yun has consumed some of the elixirs, but Shen Yun has not finished reading the rows of elixirs. It's not that she doesn't want to read them. Some elixirs have requirements for the strength of her spiritual consciousness. If she cannot reach this spiritual strength, even if you memorize the pill recipe, you still can't refine it. Just like the 9-turn resurrection pill, it can only be refined with the divine consciousness of the God transformation stage. However, Shen Yun's current spiritual consciousness has reached the early stage of nascent soul. According to my own estimation, my spiritual consciousness should be able to reach the divine transformation stage when I am in the nascent soul stage. At that time, you can try to refine the 9-turn resurrection pill. The best way to exercise your spiritual consciousness is to refine elixirs, refine weapons, and draw talismans. Shen Yun thought that the Shen family would start practicing soon, so he went out to pick a batch of medicinal materials and practice some commonly used elixirs. After the dozen bottles beside him were filled, Shen Yun rubbed his slightly swollen forehead. Put away the elixirs and go directly back to the Shen Yang tree in the room to start meditating. Sure enough, when the spiritual energy was exhausted and the consciousness was almost overdrawn, the effect of cultivation was even better. When Shen Yun opened her eyes again, she was back to the refreshed self. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 177. As soon as I went out in the morning, I was greeted by the concerned looks of the other 4 people at home. Yun, Mom didn't even talk to you yesterday. Your brother and the others were bullied. Are you okay? If you have any grievances, tell Mom. If you were hurt over there, we are all family members. Don't hide it. Hold on. Yang Kankan directly put Shen Xiaodai in his arms into Shen Liman's arms, and then pulled Shen Yun towards the room. Don't worry, I'm really fine, and I haven't suffered any grievances. Look at how bad I am. Shen Yun turned around to show Yang Kankan. Yang Kankan looked at the increasingly graceful daughter in front of him, and recalled that when he heard Shen Huiyan coming over to say that something had happened to the child at home, His heart almost jumped out of his chest with fear. Later, I heard that the person who had the accident was Shen Jian. Although he was sad, he still breathed a sigh of relief. Don't go out to do any dangerous things in the future. Your dad and I don't expect you to have any great abilities. As long as you are healthy and safe, that's it, Yang Kankan explained seriously. Our family will definitely be healthy and safe. Don't worry. I will definitely be careful in the future and not let myself fall into such a dangerous situation. Shen Yun stopped Yang Kankan's shoulders and assured her. While he was saying good things to Yang Kankan in the room, Shen Liman had already made breakfast and was waiting outside. The two of them hurried over to eat without any hesitation. After dinner, they had to go to the old house. Today, one of them had to practice. Big day. As soon as he finished eating, Shen Yun followed a few people and walked downstairs. Everyone in the old house had already eaten, but the second aunt said she had no appetite and kept watching by Shen Jian's bed. Although I tried to persuade him, it didn't work. Grandpa, why don't you call the family over and hold a family meeting directly with the second aunt? Shen Yun asked Chen Kuliang directly. Although he didn't test his spiritual roots on his daughter-in-law at the beginning, he thought about the physical training later. Those who wanted to practice also followed behind. Everyone in the family could do a few gestures except for those who couldn't walk. Now that we have entered the era of spiritual recovery, as a member of this family, if there is something we are hiding, it will cause unrest in the family. Okay, go and call everyone at home, except the ignorant children. Shen Kuliang understood what Shen Yun meant and directly waved his hand to signal everyone to call. Dad, what are you doing? Call everyone over to deal with Shen Jian's affairs. Shen Jian is doing well, as if he is asleep. I will take care of him in the future. Bo Shen is a little confused. This is good. Yes, what are you doing by calling everyone over for a meeting? Don't worry, it's not a bad thing. This may be a good thing for Shen Jian to wake up. Shen Kuliang didn't care about Uncle Shen's not so good attitude. However, this room is still too small, and everyone's family meetings have been moved to the door. Shen Yun first used the spirit test stone to test the spiritual root status of several people who had not been tested last time. Unfortunately, the first sister-in-law and the second sister-in-law did not have spiritual roots. Two aunts, the eldest aunt has the 4 spiritual roots, but the second aunt does not. Yang Kankan is a 5-spirited person. Everyone didn't know what this was going to do at first, so they obediently stretched out their hands and did as Shen Yun said. Then they saw that some people had different lights on the stones in front of them when they touched them, and some people didn't. Everyone else has tested it, but they don't know what it's for. 2 people have spiritual roots, and the others don't. Shen Yun took the test and said directly to Shen Kuliang. No one else knew what it meant, but Shen Hong and Shen Hung, who had already started practicing. I understand. What is this test for? The cousin asked curiously. Why did it light up when his mother put her hand on it, but his wife didn't respond after putting her hand on it for a long time? This is a spiritual test stone. It is to test whether you have spiritual roots. You all took the test last year, but I didn't show you the results at that time. Now let's test it for the family. The 2 cousins-in-law have no spiritual roots. My eldest aunt has it, my mother has it. Those who have spiritual roots can not only practice physical training to improve their physical fitness, but they can also practice it now and become practitioners in the future. Chen Yun tried his best to speak to everyone in simple and easy to understand language. What is a cultivator? Is the salary high? Do you mean that your cousin-in-law and others can't do this job? Shen Chen still didn't understand what Shen Yun said. 3rd brother, 4th brother, why don't you show them what a cultivator is? Shen Yun started to greet people directly. The 2 people did not bother. One made a small fireball, and the other made a water ball. Under the control of the 2 people, the 2 met in the air. Water and fire were in conflict, and suddenly exploded, shocking everyone around them. Third brother and fourth brother, we want to learn this, it's so cool. Shen Yu and Shen Xing, who were sitting over there, jumped up first, wishing they could just come over and hang on Shen Hong and the others. A cultivator is also called an immortal cultivator. Shen Yun looked at a group of stunned people sitting next to him and continued. Now everyone completely understood. Can your uncle practice cultivation? The eldest aunt asked first. Cannot. No. Then I won't get involved in this matter. Your uncle and I have been like this all our lives. From now on, I will do the logistics work for you behind you and won't bother myself. After the eldest aunt finished speaking, she went directly to the uncle. Walk outside. Don't even care about your own children. Shen Chen originally wanted to seek help from his parents, but he saw his parents walking away, leaving them where they were. Let's discuss it with my wife first, Shen Chen said first. After all, this situation is a bit difficult because one person has spiritual roots and the other does not. Those who have a daughter-in-law took her daughter-in-law out to discuss things. The man without a wife just sat here without moving, looking at Shen Yun eagerly. Are you sure you want to start practicing? Shen Yun asked. The people below were like chickens pecking at rice, fearing that their reaction would be slow. Okay. First let Shen Hong and Shen Hong teach you how to introduce Qi into your body, and then come to me to learn the exercises. Let's agree first that after you start practicing, you are not allowed to fight or kill anyone in your own family, let alone go out to pick fights. Please keep a low profile on everything. There are many powerful people in the world. When practicing cultivation, guard against arrogance and impetuosity, and take every step well, so that you can become a powerful person in the future. After Chen Yun finished explaining the cultivation matters, he did not forget to give them a few words. Looking at Shen Hong and Shen Hong pulling the children away in a swarm, the second aunt was left here who had been thinking deeply. If you practice this, will Shen Jian be saved? The second aunt murmured. The age of rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 178. Chapter 178. Chapter 179, 178, Learn culture well and practice without fear. You know there are always stories in fairy tales about immortal cultivators who can save people as long as they reach a certain level of cultivation, they can save people. Shen Yun looked at his second aunt and said. After Shen Yun finished speaking, the second aunt was silent for a while, and then hurriedly walked out. After a while, she pulled Shen Hong and Shen Yu to Shen Yun, follow Yun Yun and study hard from now on, you brothers will depend on you. She knew that she had no spiritual roots when she just took the test, and Shen Lejun and Shen Yun just said that she didn't have any. These two boys are the only ones in the family who can be relied on. It is not easy for others to persecute themselves. Now for the sake of my second son, I can only rely on these two to oppress me. Mom, don't worry, we will definitely study hard, the two brothers quickly assured Lu Xiaofeng. Okay, then go and work hard. Lu Xiaofeng called the two brothers over just to reassure herself. Now that she saw the two brothers nodding in agreement, she suddenly seemed to have support. Seeing that the second aunt was not as lost as yesterday, she seemed to have found a new boss. After seeing Shen Jian, she went to watch them and learn to introduce Qi into the body. That's good. It diverts attention, but it won't damage my body. Shen Kuliang was a little relieved to see his daughter-in-law's look. Grandpa, you and Grandma should also go and learn from the third brother and the fourth brother. I am also going to start practicing, Shen Yun said when he saw the two old people. Okay, let's go over and join in the fun. The two old people also passed over. Shen Yun watched his second uncle looking at Shen Jian and walked towards the mountain. Now that there is spiritual energy outside, and everyone in the family has begun to practice, Shen Yun no longer has to hide it. I set up a spirit gathering array and entered the cultivation state directly. I live at the top of the mountain, and basically no one comes over. So Shen Yun sat down right into the night. When he opened his eyes, he saw his parents sitting not far away, watching over him. "Mom and Dad, why haven't you rested yet?" Shen Yun stood up and said. "It's still a bit cold now, so we don't worry about you sitting outside. We'll give you hot rice in the pot, so get up and eat some." One of the couple walked towards the kitchen, and the other entered the kitchen. "I'm not afraid of the cold. It doesn't matter if I eat or not. It won't be good if you don't freeze outside." Shen Yun went over and held Yang Kankan's arm and said. "Nonsense, how can anyone skip a meal? We've already eaten the lunch at noon, so we can't delay the evening meal any longer," Yang Kankan said with a smile. When he came back to call for people at noon, he found that Shen Yun was meditating. Shen Hong and the others said they couldn't disturb him. He didn't dare to disturb him, fearing that Shen Yun wouldn't be able to eat dinner, so the two of them were waiting here. Okay, I'll eat." Shen Yun didn't explain too much. After they reached the foundation building realm, they would know what he said was true. Mom, you, Dad, and Shen Xing studied during the day. How is everything? Shen Hong and the others are very serious in teaching. My family has also learned acupuncture points and other things together before. But this thing is a bit mysterious. We haven't figured it out for a while. We will think about it when we come back," Yang Kankan said. Shen Yun didn't feel embarrassed in front of him. He could only read and write, and his daughter was still a college student. "Then slowly understand it. If you don't understand anything, tell me." Shen Yun had experienced the matter of introducing air into the body once in his life, and he was quite experienced. Under the arrangement of his parents, Shen Yun had a late dinner, and then answered their questions to the two people, before being driven to the room to sleep. Shen Yun looked at the dimmed lights on the opposite side and went straight out to start setting up formations. He didn't have spirit stones before, so many formations couldn't be set up. But now he has spirit stones and spiritual energy. For example, he can set up spirit gathering arrays and defensive arrays. Shen Yun worked for most of the night. When dawn broke in the east, he felt the abundant spiritual energy in the small courtyard and smiled. Spent some more time during the day and decorated the old house. "Grandpa, this is a skill. Give it to third and fourth brothers to keep first. This is a physical training technique for the Qi training period. Third brother, you start practicing it first. When the family members enter the Qi training period, give this to them. I haven't been to school for such a long time, so I have to go over there to deal with it." Shen Yun waited at home for 3 days, but no one at home had succeeded in inducing Qi, so Shen Yun could only hand over the exercises to Shen Hong and Shen Hong for storage. "Although the matters in Beijing are not the most important right now, I still have to go there and deal with them. I am practicing at home now, and I don't feel like I have made a breakthrough for the time being. I can only go out and take a look. Although there is no second one yet. Or I break through, but he has encountered many special places before. Shen Yun plans to go back to school to deal with things and walk around. Maybe he can encounter some opportunities and break through as soon as possible." Yes, I forgot. You are still in school now. Let the children at home go to school in the past few days. The cultivation matters will be practiced when you get back from school. Otherwise, you will not be able to learn the cultural classes well and your cultivation will be slower. In this matter, Shen Kuliang has completely realized the importance of knowledge. His grandchildren who are in junior high school are much better than those who are in primary school. Not to mention that my family's conditions are much better than before. Even if they are not good enough, I still have to borrow money to send my children to school. By the way, remember to tell them to be smart and not to talk about family matters at school." Shen Kuliang looked at Yang Xiaoko, who hurriedly went out and explained. "Nu." Shen Yun made an explanation to his family here, and then directly explained to his parents, and then walked directly to the town without staying at home. "There is another Huangbin in the town. I tested him first and then asked him to go find his grandfather. As for whether he is allowed to practice or not, It depends on the old man's decision. When I found Huang Bin, he was at work. That driver left early the next morning. In the past 2 days, I said I would go and see Shen Jian. Something has been delaying him. Huang Bin sighed, his face was haggard, and he could tell how long he had endured. A big night. What's going on? Shen Yun didn't know why there were so many things going on in this small town. It's not a big deal, just some trivial things. I don't know what's going on recently. There are animals in the mountains running out everywhere, including wild boars and the like, and there are also some protected animals. Our people in the Public Security Bureau have been working overtime recently to avoid someone or an animal is injured, Huang Bin said slowly. He really didn't expect that one day they would not only have to take care of people, but also some animals. There was no way. This small county didn't have someone to manage this matter. But the people from the Public Security Bureau took over. Shen Yun guessed it as soon as he heard it. It should be the sudden appearance of the recent spiritual energy. Animals tend to their natural instincts and will always run towards the place with the most spiritual energy. The spiritual energy is in the south, so some animals will appear running out of the mountains and forests scene. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 179. Chapter 179. Chapter 180, 179, The Beginning of the Lucky Man's Hard Life. Don't worry, this situation should get better after a while. You also know some of the situations written in the newspapers. Now that there is aura, it must be that these animals are more sensitive to this thing, Shen Yun said soothingly. I hope that's the case, otherwise we will really die from overwork. But do you think this spiritual energy is really so miraculous? Immortals used this to practice in the past. Now that spiritual energy has appeared, have immortals also appeared? Have you heard of anything happening in Beijing and the south? Huang Bin asked softly. What's going on? I've never seen an immortal, but I've seen a cultivator. Shen Yun glanced at him and said. Huang Bin knew more in town than at home. He understood these things without having to explain them. What does this mean? Times are really different now, Huang Bin couldn't help but sigh after hearing what Shen Yun said. The times are different. It depends on whether you can be the lucky one of the times. Come on, stretch out your hand and I will test it for you. Shen Yun took the spirit test stone directly from his pocket. Huang Bin looked at the unattractive stone in front of him and stretched out his hand directly. The little sister wanted to play a game with him, so how could he not cooperate? Be still and concentrate, Shen Yun said in a low voice. Huang Bin suddenly became serious. After all, his sister is older and is not easy to fool. Then he saw the gray stone in front of him, exuding two colors of emerald green and khaki. Is this a lamp? Huang Bin had never seen a lamp of this style before. This is not a lamp, it is the beginning of your hard-working life. Go to Baiyun village tonight and tell Grandpa and the others these two colors. They want to see you. Shen Yun put away the spirit detecting stone directly. Hey, tell me what is going on. My curiosity has been piqued now. Huang Bin became more energetic. He used to feel that this cousin was a bit mysterious. Now that this happened, he was curious before. It's as if there is a line connecting the things. Went to Baiyun village. If Grandpa is willing to tell you, you will know everything. If he is not willing, you can continue to be curious. I don't have time to explain to you today. I am going to the capital city, so I just stopped by. Look at you, I'm leaving. After saying this, Shen Yun walked towards the city without looking back. Huang Bin was left behind scratching his head anxiously. Unfortunately, Shen Yun in front was very fast and he couldn't catch up even if he wanted to. I could only watch Shen Yun walk away. The bus and train arrived in Beijing all the way. It was winter when we left, and it was already early spring. People were coming and going on the road, and they were increasingly dressed in bright colors. There were also some people in strange clothes and with strange behaviors on the road. Shen Yun looked at them with curiosity. It's a pity that the people next to him seemed not surprised by these people's actions, and even looked a little envious. This was really something Shen Yun had never seen in his previous life. Did something happen? Shen Yun arrived at school with a lot of doubts. It has been more than a month since school started. Shen Yun estimated that he was the last one to come to school. After passing through the campus, which was quieter than before, Shen Yun went straight to the teacher's office. Standing at the door, I saw the teacher inside busy. "Teacher, I'm here to cancel the leave." Shen Yun knocked on the door to attract the attention of the people inside. Seeing the teacher looking over, Shen Yun said directly, "Hey, you're finally here. I heard that something happened at your home. Are you okay?" The teacher saw Shen Yun breathing a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that the student would no longer be able to come to school due to family reasons. This was not the case before. He has seen this happen before, including female students who dropped out of school due to financial reasons. He was also worried that Shen Yun wouldn't be able to come over this semester. Thinking about this girl saying that she wanted to complete the course this semester, could it be that she couldn't persist this semester? "I'm fine at home. I just put in a little effort and wasted some time." "Teacher, can I still apply for early graduation this semester?" Shen Yun is still more concerned about this issue and wants to live a new life. Although he does not plan to engage in archaeology again, this graduation she still wanted to get the certificate. "Okay, I've already submitted the information to you. There are a lot of things going on in school this semester. It's only been half a month since class officially began. You usually look through your classmates' notes. You have to pass the final exam and then graduate thesis. I have to prepare it and graduate with the graduates this semester." Although Shen Yun didn't come over, the teacher had already taken care of the matter. He knew that the girl's thesis was ready. If she didn't come this semester, if it is completed, it will take another semester, which should be a big burden on Shen Yun's family finances. "Thank you, teacher." Shen Yun was very grateful to the teacher. "You're welcome, this is your book. Take it back and take a good look at it. You have more books than others." The teacher directly picked up a few books from under the table, and it seemed that he had given Shen Yun all the books for several semesters coming. "There are many books here that have been used by other students. They are free of charge. Just take them back and have a look. Even if you have to graduate early, you can't lose the reputation of being the first in our class," the teacher said with a smile. Shen Yun really didn't expect that the other party had even prepared a book for him. "Teacher, I'm really sorry to trouble you." Shen Yun bent down and thanked you. Okay, go back and read quickly. You study hard and don't let other people lead you to change your mind. After all, your goals are different from others." The teacher was worried and explained again. Shen Yun nodded to express his understanding, and then suddenly saw a book of talismans on the teacher's desk opposite. "Isn't this Zhang's unsold work?" Shen Yun thought for a moment, and then suddenly thought of the peace talisman in his own space. "Teacher, I got this peace talisman from our hometown and give it to you." Shen Yun put the talisman directly on the table. The teacher looked at Shen Yun's talisman and the talisman book on the teacher's desk opposite. He was worried that this girl would be misled by others. Now it seems that there is no need to bring it. She is also a superstitious person. Okay, I've accepted the things. You can take the books back, and you won't be able to get them for a few points." Before the teacher could finish her words, she saw Shen Yun walking out with a handful of books higher than her head. "How did you pick up this skinny little girl?" The teacher next to her opened her mouth in shock. "Maybe life trains people," I used to be a delicate little girl, the teacher sighed and directly put the exquisite peace charm folded on the table into his pocket. End of this chapter. The Age of Rebirth, the fake daughter relies on cultivation to become bigger and stronger. Author, Laughing Charm. Chapter 180. Chapter 180. Chapter 181, 180, I am no longer a poor person. Shen Yun here walked out of the office with his book in his arms. The campus was quiet just now, but now it was as if some kind of switch had been turned on, and the whole school became lively. Shen Yun just looked at his class schedule. He couldn't catch up with the classes this morning, but starting from the afternoon, his schedule was full every day, and he tried to take all the credits this semester. Shen Yun held the book in his arms. Under the surprised eyes of everyone, he did not stay in the school for long, and walked directly out of the school with the book in his arms. The one holding so many books just now is Shen Yun from the Department of Archaeology, who missed half a month of classes. I heard that her family has no money and can't go to school. Why is she here again? It happened that we had taken a big class together. The girl was more impressed by Shen Yun and said curiously. Even though she just said something out of curiosity, the people next to her took this matter to heart and walked directly outside the school when school was over at noon. Shen Yun here has already returned to his dormitory. No one has lived here for more than a month, and it is covered with a thin layer of dust. Shen Yun used the dust removal technique, and the whole room became clean again. He packed up the pile of books in his arms and put them on the desk. He thought about Yan Han's words and asked him to go to his office when he came to Beijing. It would be better to choose a day. As he happened to have time at noon, Shen Yun decided to go. One trip. Within a few minutes, Shen Yun arrived at the special department. As before, it was very quiet here and the furnishings were still the same as before, but the previously conspicuous warehouse was no longer so conspicuous. Walking inside, you can still see many team members discussing cultivation matters. Although the voices are very low, Shen Yun's hearing ability is not what it used to be. Turning around, he saw a few people in the Qi training stage discussing over there. The special department has moved really fast. It has only been a short time, and there are so many new faces here. Those who can cultivate above the second level of Qi training so quickly have good talents. Shen Yun took one look and walked directly towards the cold office. It is said that half of the office there is filled with my own stuff, and I don't know what it is that can take up so much space. When we got to the place, Yan Han happened to be in the office as well. Captain Yan, I'm here to get my things. Didn't you say there are a lot of them? Shen Yun knocked on the door and said. There were not the things he mentioned in the office, but they were still neatly placed. You were not injured when you went to Hong Kong City. How is your family? Do you need me to introduce you to a doctor? Yan Han answered the question in a nonverbal manner, obviously knowing everything about himself. It's okay. I'm fine. With my brother's condition, it's useless to see an ordinary doctor. He can only take care of himself slowly. When his cultivation level is high, there should be a way to deal with the situation. Shen Yun glanced at Yan Han. Good guy. When we met there, Yan Han was only at the 5th level of Qi training. We haven't seen him for a few days now, and he is already at the 9th level of Qi training. This speed is faster than the speed of taking drugs. Anyway, if you need anything, just ask. Hearing Shen Yun say no, Yan Han said it anyway. Don't worry, I will definitely trouble you if necessary. I have been absent from class for a long time, so I came here just to pick up some things. Time is tight this semester, so I guess I have less time to complete tasks. Chen Yun explained his purpose of coming. Well, you should be busy with your own affairs first. The department has sufficient manpower and nothing special has happened. Your things are on the museum shelf here. Take a look. Anything that doesn't fit is in the warehouse. I'll take you there to pick it up later. Shen Yun turned around and saw the items on the neat museum shelves. They were all medals, certificates, commendations, job offers, etc. Shen Yun just looked through them, then piled them up and put them away. Although these can only be sent to you privately for the time being, your achievements will be remembered by the people above. When the time comes, these will be known to the public, Yan Han explained. I haven't done anything earth-shattering. Let's wait and see when I do something big, Shen Yun said with a smile. She also had her own selfish motives for doing these tasks. Not only did she have a lot of spiritual plants in the space, she also had her own fighting skills. And strength have improved a lot, and I have also taken advantage of the information channels of the special department. These things may seem trivial to you, but they are not so to us. All right, take these things of yours. The remaining things are in the warehouse. Let's go and get them. Shen Yun didn't take a closer look. He directly put a thick pile of things into the backpack he brought as a cover-up, and followed Yan Han outside. The warehouse will no longer look like a warehouse, but more like a place where items are stored. Unlike the last time I came here, where things were randomly placed, there is a manager inside now, and everything is carefully classified and placed. Take something stored in box no 1, Yan Han said directly to the administrator. Hey, Captain, the owner of box number 1 is finally back, the administrator asked curiously. I'm back, isn't this it? Quickly take someone to pick up the things, and then find someone to deliver them to your home. Yan Han pointed to Shen Yun next to him, which was a simple introduction. Shen Yun looked at the other party's bright eyes, smiled and nodded to him. Hey, then come with me quickly. The other party took a key and walked directly inside. Box number 1 looks really small from the outside. If placed in a cold office, it can indeed occupy half of the space. These are your rewards and spiritual stone subsidies for the past few months. You don't know how greedy these things are if they are placed here. Take them back quickly and put them away. When the administrator opened the box, his eyes lit up, and he also, I'm greedy, but as an administrator, I can still resist this temptation. Shen Yun looked at the thousands of low-grade spiritual stones in front of him without any change in his eyes. After all, he already had tens of thousands of medium-grade spiritual stones in his space, and he was no longer the poor Shen Yun that he was at the beginning. Please help me collect it for such a long time. Just send it directly to my dormitory. Shen Yun took a look and knew what these things were. Okay, I'll send it to you, but this thing is a rare thing now. You should either use it quickly when you get back, or keep it well, the administrator reminded. Okay, I understand. Shen Yun nodded, sent it to his dormitory, and put it away directly, not afraid of others coveting it. Okay, I'll arrange someone right away. The administrator locked the box in front of Shen Yun, handed the key to Shen Yun, and then led the person outside. Hey, why did you guys come in again? You said that it belongs to someone else and cannot be borrowed. What's wrong with you? Shen Yun and the others took a step slower and heard the administrator's scolding coming from outside. End of this chapter.